It doesn't have to be bad to be better. Today's been a great show, but it's actually going to get better now. Vassos, over to you.
Our next guest is the Glastonbury-slaying, Carfest-conquering, billion-view superstar who's going to give you up never, let you down never, and write a book never. His new book, Never, is out today, and he's about to go on tour. So let's give a great big tick for the always slick, never miss a trick, Rick Astley!
All right, let's hear for Rick Astley. Come on, get that door open. Come on.
Right, thank you. Thank you. Wow.
Great book.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Great book.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Thank you.
amazing. Proper book. This is a great book, everybody. It's called Never, It's Out Today. You've got to read it. You've got to read this book for so many different reasons. Question number 1, Rick Astley.
Okay.
How did you do that thing with the basketballs in 1988?
Yeah. No, it's funny. Going back over this and trying to remember things, I've had to speak to friends. I had to speak to my ex-manager, Tops, as well, because he's got a better memory than me.
Because he only ever drank Coca-Cola, didn't he?
Exactly, yeah. He never had a drink in his life. And yeah, when I've gone through things like that, where we, basically took an old projector on stage with us, took it right around the world, like a film projector you'd have in a cinema and everything. And some of the shows that you do today and some of the big festivals, you turn up and you see the technology and you kind of think, oh my God, it's like the world has literally changed so much since I started and what have you. It's been a bit of a freaky thing to do, to be honest, to go through it and have some of those, relive them memories kind of thing.
That was a proper moment, wasn't it? That was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Bit of stagecraft going on.
Totally, it's like wizardry. And also...
What actually happened?
Well, basically, we have a screen that was built into the stage, and today that would just be so normal, but then that was quite a bit of a feat of engineering. And as I say, it had a 35mm projector projecting, the images, and we'd filmed all these images of me doing things I couldn't really possibly do.
Right.
One of which was, we had these 2 giant basketball players come on, and I ran in and pinched the basketball off them, ran around the stage, ran on top of the stage, and then start bouncing the ball on top, and they look up. But obviously there's no sync. There's no, digital, it's just literally, I'm counting in my head. I looked at the film, ran in at the right moment, and then counting, and the music's playing, and it was just, honestly, it was like so seat of the pants. It was unbelievable,
But it works.
It did work, and people still, every now and again, will kind of say, I was at that gig. How did you do that? What was this? What was that?
And that was part of the tour you were really excited about, because you wanted to get out on tour and you wanted to sing and you wanted to sort of break away for so many different reasons from what people thought you were.
Yeah.
And you always loved performing and you were like, not little did they know, because that's not how you are, but little did they know.
I think also, if you think back to that song, Never Gonna Give You Up and what have you, and the Stock Aitken Waterman thing, the Royal We, they were about making hit records. They weren't really about, hey, why don't you take this on tour? That wasn't their deal, you know? So I had to not exactly fight for it, but I had to kind of pick my moment to say, look, I'm actually going to go around the world and sing these songs now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And nobody else really was that invested in me doing that, because they wouldn't make any money out of it. Other than the fact that obviously music makes money full stop. But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't a...
It was tough business, man. And why would they be interested in that if it's not... They were studio.
They were, but I was a human being and still am, and I kind of know the joys of being on stage.
Yeah, of
and
course.
it's like, I desperately wanted to do that.
Yeah, thank God you did. I also didn't know, and I've known you and Nina for a long, long time now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she'd been nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, boom.
I think I can throw a round of applause for Lena.
She's blushing now.
Who's been nominated for an actual Oscar.
Indeed she has.
Nina! Tell us that story, man.
Man, that's mad. So Lena has produced movies and lots of different things, and worked in like videos as well, you know, all kinds of stuff. So she produced this short film that then got nominated for, the short film Oscar. So we, as a bunch of us, we all went, and Sean Ellis, the director and everything, we all kind of went to the Oscars, as you do. And brand new tux, the whole bit. We did the red carpet and everything, but it also coincided bizarrely that days after that, I was going to go and sing all my old songs for the first time in 15 years in Japan. And it was just this weird moment in our lives where we went to the Oscars, which was mad enough.
Yeah.
So I arrived in LA. I think Lena was already there, actually, but I arrived in LA. Our daughter Amelia was with us. We do the Oscars thing. We went to some humdinger parties as well, by the way. I mean, like proper, I don't think we actually went to bed. We tried. We got back to the hotel, and then there was another little thing going on in the bar, and some friends of ours, so we went and had a drink with them. And then someone said, oh, we're going to have this thing, so whatever. So we never really went to bed that night. we got up, we did like an LA brunch sort of thing with a few friends, and then I went to the airport and went to Tokyo, and it was just like I was just kind of waving at Lena, kind of like, this is the maddest moment we've had in our lives, and now I'm about to have another one as well. It was just mad.
Well, there were loads of mad moments, and there are loads of mad moments, and let's hope there's even more mad moments to come. What was interesting about that, I mean, it's all Universal stars lining up stuff, because there's Lena at the peak of her powers, and when Rick met Lena, if you don't know, Lena's working for a Danish record company, and then she comes over here because they fall in love, and she wants to make movies, and she starts from the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it wasn't what she'd been doing while you
she'd
met
been
her.
in music, and Lena went to film school actually in New York, which is a bit of an adventure as well. But I would say that I think Lena definitely has that thing about her where she's not pretentious about anything and says, well, if I have to start here, that's what I'll do, and I'll just get stuck in and do it.
And love it. Just dive straight in. Give it all the beans.
Even Lena now manages me and has done for a while, and I think we're both like that, to be honest, which is one of the reasons it works, that like if something needs doing, either of us will just get stuck in and do it. But Lena is like, definitely does more than a fair share. Let's put it that way. 37
years together now, 36, 37?
Getting on that.
I think another round of applause. Just come on. I mean, you know.
She's losing it now, everybody.
They still look like teenagers and they've been together for 30 odd years. Come on. Woo! But you talk about universal time. So there's Lena at the peak of her powers, and then you fly off to Japan, having celebrated her life, her career, and then your love for each other by just not going to bed, which is great. Which is sort of the opposite of what you do when you first meet.
But anyway, it's a bit early in the morning for that, look.
We've all been there.
We have.
Those were the days, were they? Anyway, sorry, moving on. Got distracted there. So then you go off and you play Japan, which is the beginning of part 2. That was a beautiful sort of passing on of the energetic baton.
Yeah. I mean, Lena and our daughter Amelia came to Japan. They followed on. And we actually, again, for Amelia, she would have been 14, 15 at the time. She went to art school eventually, and she always had a really creative eye, Amelia, our daughter. And so she really desperately wanted to go to Japan. So that was part of the deal of me doing it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It was like Lena and Amelia really wanted to go, and they kind of literally, put me up against the kitchen cabinets and said, why aren't we going to go and do this? We should do this. And then, as I say, it did coincide with us actually going to the Oscars. So it was the maddest sort of few days.
Did you know.
Yeah, well, exactly. But I think for me, it was a family holiday in Japan as well after I'd done the gigs. But definitely a little switch was flicked in me that said, oh, so I can go and sing these old songs, have a bit of fun doing it.
Yeah.
And not feel the pressure of like, oh, it's a new record to release. It's a new this. It's I didn't really feel any pressure at all. I just kind of loved it. So.
And that was not a surprise for you. That was a shock for you.
Probably, yeah. Because I didn't have the intention of going to Japan, doing a few gigs, and then thinking, my intention rather was that I would do that, would come home, and I'd kind of forget about it. Yeah. And I kind of liked it, if not loved it. And we spoke to a couple of different promoters, and that's it. Just gradually started again, and I started doing gigs again.
What year was that then? 2016, 2015, something like that?
Help me out.
2026.
2006.
2006.
That's what it's saying. Is that
all
right?
right, so it was a slow burn then.
Oh yeah, big slow burn. Yeah.
So that was that was definitely the beginning.
Yeah, around that time as well. Bizarrely, I'd actually a very big promoter in this country we work with a lot, and he's a really good friend now. He kind of said to me one day, just in a chance meeting, look, why don't you do this anymore? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of done really. Those days are gone. And he said, well, you should just go out and sing. Just go and I said, I don't know whether I want to sing my old hits, like in the UK, go to a venue and sing, Never Gonna Give You Up Together for whatever. I don't know whether I'm ready for that. I don't know what, And he said, well, sing anything. Sing whatever you like. So I did a couple of little tours where I sang Frank Sinatra things and stuff like that, stuff that my dad used to love and sing around the house. So that was like around that sort of time as well. I think something clicked in me that performing was not the music business. It was doing gigs and what have you. It wasn't a business.
And it remains the same, doesn't it?
For me, it does, definitely. And obviously, I have made records recently, and ironically, I've made them and released them through the record label that released my old stuff. Yeah. Obviously, it's all new people. There's one or two people I recognise from a distant past and stuff, but it's kind of a totally new team. And it's been absolutely amazing. And it's actually not that I was negative about my past and the early days, but it was kind of just like, it was just a bonfire every day.
Of course it was.
You know, it was just like, how do you
But it couldn't be any other way. We had Alison Way in on Tuesday. She said exactly the same, literally word for word, exactly the same thing. You know, and I'm going all over the place here because I read the book. So, and then, you know, the album 50 came out because you were 50, which I still think was yesterday, but that's now nearly 10 years ago.
It's about 8 years or something like that. I go, yeah, I know.
Isn't it
yeah,
funny?
yeah, I
So
know it is.
Are we
It's
going to get
flashes
60?
by.
Please say yeah.
Oh,
Come on.
oh.
Yeah, do we want 60? Come on. I mean, we want to get to 60. Do we want the album 60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go then. All right. Okay.
I mean,
okay.
John, the bean counter, definitely wants the album 60.
You heard it here first. Okay. All right. I'll get on that as soon as I get home.
Is that in your mind somewhere?
Well, I have a little studio at home, and I just like being there. I like being in that room. I like pottering about. I never really kind of spend a whole day at home without pottering about in there at some point. It's just whether that becomes a record. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's...
What do you think? What do you sense? What's your spidey sense saying?
Well, I've done 3 on my own now, I think. And I think what I need to do next time is throw that out to people and say, do you want to do a track for me? And obviously I've met, let's say, for instance, like, you know, Blossoms and people like that, I've done really amazing fun things with and what have you. Their world is very different to mine. It's very this, that and the other. But I love those guys and I love hanging around with them. So it'd be interesting to say to someone like that, for instance, I've not mentioned this to them yet, by the way, but I'm doing live on air. No, but as a, for instance, like, guys, write me a tune, do me a tune. Do you know what I mean? And they might run a mile from that, obviously.
Bring yourself.
Exactly.
I love that.
I just think I've met quite a lot of people. That's the festival thing that's amazing. You end up hanging out and bumping into people.
Yeah, you got time.
And that you perhaps also, because they're so varied now.
Yeah.
You've got like even like a rock god playing one stage, and then you've got almost like a jazzer playing the other, and everything in between it.
It works.
That's kind of what festivals are today.
The opposite of Top of the Pops. Of course, you went to Top of the Pops and for the first time, and you're like, well, what's the scene? Well, there isn't a scene because everybody's doing it. They just get on, they get in, they do it, and they get off again. And it's not what you thought it was.
It's not what you think.
And by the way, it's not for the artist to enjoy. It's for the audience to enjoy.
Yeah.
And you found that out very quickly.
Yeah, it's for the television audience at home to enjoy as well. It's like it was just the weirdest thing. Top of the Pops.
Tell us about the first time you ever went.
Well, the first time I went, it was kind of like nobody told me anything about any of it, to be honest. So
which comes across very clearly in your book.
Yeah, and obviously even going to that building, that amazing building, television centre, that was we'd all seen it growing up on different things, you know what I mean? And
it
then
was
you arrived
a star,
there.
wasn't
it was, and you arrived there and you kind of go, oh my God. And then you actually go into, you know, the Top of the Pop studio and you go, oh my God, again, but for the wrong reasons, because it's tiny and there's like 2, maybe 3 stages, but there's 8 acts on it. Yeah. So do you know what I mean? You kind of think it's going to be more like they're all going to be in there, they're all going to be set up and ready to go. And then basically for me, my experience of it was that one of the guys at the BBC plonks a microphone stand and kind of points at it and goes, off you go, son. And that's kind of it. That's the whole kind of like, this is how we're going to do your performance.
And straight away you think, what do other people do? Whose names came to mind when you think about that?
Wet were there, I seem to remember. Def Leppard were there. Yeah. And obviously that's, I mean, again, it's Def Leppard.
That was your episode. That was your first ever episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, as I remember it, I'd have to go back and...
There was somebody else as well, I can't remember. But I mean, it's not a bad lineup.
And
you thought, maybe I'll give it a bit of Marty Pellow, because you literally didn't know what to do.
No, but also, I think when you go to a club with your friends and dance and do whatever, that's one thing. But when you have to do it in front of people with what you know is, I mean, back then, let's face it, what was it, 8-10 million people watch Top of the Pops?
More.
It's like, you know, you do Top of the Pops and it's either going to make you or break you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
well, it usually made you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And I kind of think that I just fear took over, so I just shook around a little bit and just did whatever.
It seems to work.
Well, maybe, yeah. I don't know. It's like, honestly, I've sweated a little bit over this whole thing with the book, because it's like some of those things, and if I do find myself looking at something on YouTube of myself, because we all do it, obviously, and it happens, somebody says, oh, look at this. I look at it and I go, who is that kid?
Yeah.
Because I'm not, I am that guy, of course I am, we all are, you know, but it's my DNA and it's my history and it's my all those things. Yeah. But I'm also not that guy anymore. Do you know what I mean? I'd go in there today and be way more comfortable and way more in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think I was just like, please let this be over.
But that's the way it's got to be. It's the right pattern.
No, but some people go in there and they're kind of like, I own this already.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's the way it's got to be for them.
Yeah.
You know,
okay. All right.
We're exactly where we're meant to be. That's the deal.
Okay. Fair dues.
And you are nothing but grateful in your book. I mean, that.
Absolutely.
Right. A couple of things. So the two loves of your life in the book are Lena and also Tops. because he's got to be, hasn't he? So there's two tops in the book. There's Top of the Pops, which is basically a top for purposes of, I don't know, something. Let's turn it into a Tops. And then there's Tops himself. So Tops was your confidant, your wingman.
Yeah, he was my manager. He was my. But
he ended up being your manager.
He ended up being my manager, but we travelled in each other's pockets for quite some years, let's say.
And then you had to break up with him.
Yeah.
Which is, again, the book. I can't believe all this is in this book, right? And that was a real moment. Obviously, you'd learned from the past.
Yeah.
He hadn't done anything wrong, but you thought, I got to call this one.
Yeah, because I think he had gone very far with me in doing lots and lots of things. He also had a partnership with, funnily enough, one of my best friends where they had a record label, and that was doing really, really well. Yeah. And I think it was just hard for him possibly to, I almost can't even say this actually live, but I'm going to say it, hard to not treat me like his son sometimes.
Yeah, which is fair enough.
Yeah, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm on about the emotion of trying to do
Rick,
the right thing for me.
Even the breakup screams that you love him.
Yeah, no, well, I do.
Still. So there's that. We're going to leave the Lena story for till we have 30 seconds left, because that'll make her feel more comfortable about it. That's really important. Tops ended up being your manager. Your first manager was Dave Warwick.
Yeah. Dave
Warwick's management was mostly a manager of mobile DJs in Warrington. His management office was above a wool shop that he also owned, we think.
I'm pretty sure he did, yeah, but don't quote me on that one.
I love your first manager also owned a wool shop.
Yeah, I know, but it's like
he was going to make it no matter what.
I know, but it's like it's the people you meet in this business. It's just unbelievable. Yeah. It really is, and from one end of the spectrum to the other. Yeah. But the thing is, if I hadn't met Dave and Tony's partner,
absolutely,
I wouldn't have met Pete Waterman
100%.
and and it's like, so even though I had to go through a wool shop to get into the office, it doesn't matter.
Who doesn't want to start the day by going through a wool shop? Seriously, I'm in, man. Right, we've got 30 seconds left. Right, give us Lena and you in 30 seconds, Rick Astley.
Well, I've said I wouldn't be here without various people in my life. Lena has to be the top of the list of that, I think. And I actually think she's had more faith in me making new music and having a career again and all the rest of it than I have, to be honest. But that aside, because obviously work's really important and that is a massive part of our life, she's sort of my everything, and I'm looking at her through the glass now and she's cowering behind a chair. Yeah, obviously there's a huge amount of love there, but there's a huge amount of respect. And I was asked this question last night: how do you have a long-term relationship? What is the most important thing? And I still put it down to respect, because you can. I said this a few times. You can love someone,
definitely,
and not be with them, not want to be with them. You have to respect them.
Trumps love every day.
It does.
Right, we got to go. So we haven't even done the second half. I knew this was going to come. Why don't you come and do the second half?
All right, you're on
next week or something.
I'm around.
Should we do it?
Let's do it.
It's up to you. All right, let's go to part. I'm so glad. Right, see you tomorrow, everybody. We're so out of time. It's not funny. We've never been this much out of time.